Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be taking a look backwards and forwards at the biggest news stories of Xbox in 2024, as well as what we anticipate the biggest news and game releases will be from the brand in 2025. We've got another exciting year ahead of us, so let's get started. Welcome to the very first episode of Xbox On for the year 2025. Good to have you all here. Now, if you listen to last week's episode, you know it's that time of year where we do things a little differently for a couple of weeks while we kind of have to get creative with the show while the news is on a hiatus and while everyone's kind of eating whatever they do. Rum cake, is that what people do for around the holidays? They gorge themselves and they, rum cake. I love rum cake. And then they get all fat and drunk at the same time. But we record the Xbox On podcast while they do that because they're the bad people. We're the Xbox hardcore fans. We're the fucking console warriors that have been there since day one. Welcome to Xbox On. Yep, if you thought maybe 2025 will be the year Jesse finally behaves like he's 30 years old. Nope, not this year. Guys, so last week's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it if you listened, was the episode all about our favorite video games that we experienced in the year 2024. It was a look back at the games we played throughout the year. This week's episode is our other fun late in the year / first episode of the year kind of evergreen content where we go through what we consider to be the biggest news stories of last year, and then what we expect from Xbox going into this year. So we'll basically have this show broken into those two segments, recap of the highlights of Xbox news in 2024, and then games we're expecting to come out in 2025, as well as hardware stories we're expecting, things that we expect from Xbox headed into this year. So I think it's a really good way to kind of reorient, reset kind of where we are with the brand, especially because Xbox is such a weird brand to follow. Like, can you imagine being a Nintendo fan? It's so simple right now, being a Nintendo fan. It's like, oh yeah, this game came out, we played it, it was from Nintendo, it was like the millionth version of Mario, and then Mario had a party, and then Mario got in a cart, and then Zelda was linking between two worlds, then he was, breathing, what was it? Breath of the Wilding, and then it's very simple, and then, you guys are probably really hyped right now, because you're like, oh, we're getting a new Nintendo Switch in just a couple months, it's a great time to be a Nintendo fan. If you're a PlayStation fan, it's so easy, it's just like, we don't do anything, we don't ever put any fucking games out, we don't do anything special, we're actually like, literally doing nothing even remotely remarkable whatsoever, but everyone wants us. It's PlayStation. They just keep buying us. We don't put out first-party content whatsoever. We raise our prices. We have inferior online services. We have a controller that's almost really good, but it has horrible analog sticks that are centered instead of off-axis, and people just keep buying this shit from the millions. And just a little side note, first tangent of the year, it would be wrong for me to do anything other than to insult the Europeans. So let me just say, guys, Xbox is a winning brand in most English-speaking territories. US, Canada, UK, Australia. We love you guys. Get it the fuck together, the rest of Europe, okay? What are you doing? You guys are the reason why Xbox can't compete. Because all you fucking little Belgian French people with your fucking cigarettes and your bitter coffee can't fucking see what's so great about Xbox, and you guys make the sale so disproportionate that there's no battle to be won. There's no competition. It's just PlayStation. Xbox lives in the shadow, let's be honest. And then don't think you can go unscathed, Asia. We see you, especially Japan, you guys. You're so xenophobic, you won't even give Xbox a chance. Even though Xbox is the nice guy, he's the guy who's gonna treat you right, but you keep going with PlayStation because even though he's a fucking dirty bitch and he's gonna raw dog you, he's a handsome guy. Can you say no to a handsome guy like a PlayStation? Anyway, first tangent of the year over. What were we saying? Yeah, it's pretty easy to cover PlayStation right now. It's just like, yeah, we just got a $700 version of the same console we've been playing. The UI and the controller kind of suck, but who gives a shit? We don't have to do literally anything, and people just keep buying this thing. But if you're an Xbox fan, it's been weird. It's like, oh, Xbox just released a game that's really good. Oh, and then Phil Spencer said some stupid shit he shouldn't. Fucking what the hell? Okay, all right. Now, oh, well, you look at that. It was a really good showcase. They announced a bunch of really good games. I'm really excited about Xbox these next 12 months. Oh, and they're putting all their fucking games on PlayStation. Okay. Oh, well, look at this, guys. Black Ops is coming to fucking Game Pass day one, Oh, what the fuck is this? They're raising Game Pass prices. Okay, well, we're gonna get a handheld, an Xbox hand. Oh, they're talking about. Oh, it's hypothetical. They're not actually aren't. Okay, and that's the back and forth on Xbox. It's just like for every piece of good news, there's like 2 to 3 pieces of bad news, and it's also just like the brand is evolving like crazy because PlayStation is going through a little bit of a wave right now where they're actually so fucking they're in such a power position that they've literally stopped doing anything. It's like Apple. It's like how Apple has released the same fucking iPhone for the past 8 years with like literally zero changes, and people are like, well, I guess I'll just upgrade the iPhone because why would I ever consider anything else? And that, meanwhile, Samsung's like, now it can bend, now it can fold, and fucking OnePlus is like, now the phone's 45 inches, and you got phones in China that are like, now there's 7 screens and they can fold down into your pocket, and Apple's just like, nah, fuck you, same phone. That's how PlayStation is kind of right now. It's just like, yeah, PlayStation's a great product, but they're just like, nah, no first party content, nah, no showcase, nobody gives a shit what we're working on. Discord is the biggest failure basically in gaming history. Who gives a shit? You'll still buy PlayStation. And they're right. People just buying PlayStation left and right. Xbox is like, here's Call of Duty. Here's Indiana Jones. People are like, great, I'll buy a PlayStation. It's just, it doesn't matter. Dude, PlayStation's just in one of those, like, it's one of those brands that's reached that, like, fuck you, kind of thing. It's like how everyone knows Nike is a horrible company and everyone's like, gotta have 3 pairs of Nike in my closet, It's just one of those things. And that's a bad comparison. It doesn't mean PlayStation's a bad company. It just means PlayStation has gotten stale and comfortable because they have no real competition. Sorry, Xbox. You just, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Anyway, wow, that sounds like an incredibly fanboyish way to start the podcast, which if you've been listening to the show for a while, Xbox On is usually not a very fanboy-y podcast. I give PlayStation a lot of props, and they deserve a lot of credit. It's a great brand. It's a great console. It's a great place to play games. I give Nintendo a lot of credit. Obviously, they're a very historically important brand to gaming. They, no one would be here if it weren't for Nintendo. We'd all probably be dead. Let's be honest. They wouldn't have stopped at 2 bombs over there in Japan. The United States, they wouldn't have if it weren't for an early prototype of the NES that made them hold their fire. All right, so let's talk about the podcast because I'm so off topic now. All right, so we're gonna do a look back on 2024, a look forward in 2025, and it'll be a good way to kind of start off the year with like, okay, yeah, that's where we are. That's where we left off. That's what happened. This is what we're expecting. Okay, let's go forward from here. Because Xbox, historically, in recent years, they start off strong beginning in January. So we should have a lot of Xbox news coming really in just a couple short weeks here. So we'll start off with 2024, then we'll move to 2025, and then we'll wrap up with some comments. And that will be pretty unconventional, unique type of Xbox On podcast. And then next week, we will get back into our regular run of show with the what I've been playing, what I've been eating, small news stories, big news stories, stories of mild amusement, listener comments, all the rest. So we will get back to regular Xbox On next week. But to kick off 2025, guys, I hope you had a wonderful new year. I hope you drank lots of fireworks and lit lots of alcohol in the backyard. And I hope you guys all had a wonderful holiday season, regardless of which holidays you choose to observe. I hope you chose to observe Christmas because Jesus is the reason for the season, and I hope you believe that. So, all right, let's get started for realsies. 2024. Let's get into the rewind. What I've done here is I've tried to do a very, very rough chronological order of kind of the biggest news stories of Xbox from 2024. So these might not be in perfect order, but they are approximately in the order in which they happened. So, and you'll see kind of what I was talking about. It really is that back and forth, like good, bad, once we get into this. But yeah, so let's start out. So It's 2024. It's January. I'm out here thinking that this is the year where I'm going to fucking learn to moonwalk and I'm finally going to get internet famous. And that Xbox On is probably going to go to the Grammys because, let's be honest, this podcast is music to your ears. But Xbox starts off the year the same way they did the year prior, and the same way we're anticipating they'll start this year, by saying, hey guys, we got a developer direct in January. And so they have this developer direct, and it's a focus on their big tentpole games of the year. They say, hey guys, here's a deep look at Hellblade. What was it? It was Aura, History Untold. It was Indiana Jones. And it was, what's the other one I am missing? It was Avowed, because Avowed ended up getting delayed, right? And so we got this really good developer direct in January. I love that Xbox now does this. I think it's such a smart way to start off the year by saying, hey, the news cycle is slow. Everyone's kind of wondering, like, what's the tone? What's the precedent? Let's kick it off by saying, here are the games we really want you to focus on this year, because this is what our brand is about going on this year. If you're a fan of this brand, if you play video games on this platform, here are the big things we think that we are confident that you'll be able to indulge in throughout this year. And so they did that direct. It was good as it was the year before. We were watching through it and we're like, God, Indie looks great. Avowed looks great. This is a really exciting year. Whatever. Hellblade's finally almost here. We'll see how that goes. So it was a great way to kick off the year, start things on a positive note. After the rocky generation Xbox has had thus far, where there have been some good moments, no doubt, and they came out the gate strong. There have also been some real duds, like 2022 just kind of generally being a real fucking miss of a year for them. It seemed like 2024 was poised to be quite a decent year for them. Then, right after all this goodwill is built, we get news of layoffs. Microsoft's doing tons of layoffs. There's Activision layoffs. There's Blizzard layoffs. Everyone's losing their job. We got to get people onto the streets. There are not enough people on the streets. It's saying, get out of your houses, get out of your condos, get out of your apartments, get onto the streets, you motherfucking useless pieces of shit. And so Microsoft does huge layoffs. Xbox is greatly affected. Activision is affected. This has a lot to do with, of course, eliminating redundancies, because when you merge big companies, there are lots of departments and jobs that, have overlap. And so, of course, a lot of it was that, but a lot of it was also just downsizing, because the games industry has just been ravaged, and that's really a bigger story for just gaming in general from 2024, and unfortunately I'm sure it will continue this year, but just obviously the mass layoffs that affected the industry throughout the year. So now we get hit with some bad news. Okay, got some really good games to look forward to, but tons of fucking people in the games industry, including at Xbox teams, are losing their job. I'm so glad we all fought so hard for Xbox to be able to acquire Activision, because that enabled all these people to lose their jobs. So that was the next piece of information. Then we come into what is seemingly an unexpected, huge moment for Xbox and for PC. But maybe it shouldn't have been as unexpected as at least I viewed it. But Pal World is released, and it's huge for a minute. So Pal World comes out. It's Pokemon with guns. Everyone's been like kind of keeping an eye on it from the couple times we've seen it at various showcases, and it looks fine. And then it comes out, and we get this gimped Xbox version that no one seems to really care about. But it launches into Game Pass, so it's really accessible, and a lot of people play it and like it. And then it's huge on Steam as well. And for the first time in a while, there's this kind of like incidental second party-ish kind of, not second party, but like limited timed exclusive third party game that is on Xbox, not on PlayStation. And it's just kind of one of those moments where it's like, capitalize on this, Xbox. You have a moment where there's a hot new game out that you have on your platform that PlayStation doesn't have on their platform, and people are super high on it, and it's Pokemon with guns, and it's a big topic right now. Just fucking relish in that. And so even though I personally thought Pal World was boring as hell, and this game did nothing for me, clearly a lot of people thought otherwise, because this game was wildly popular for a little while. And yeah, it was just again a feel good moment for Xbox. It's like, okay, we got some good games coming out this year. We got this unexpected indie third party hit on our hands. Let's keep the momentum going, right? And then immediately, so it's like, all right, we had some really unfortunate but necessary news about jobs in the industry. We got these good games we're looking forward to. We had this good Game Pass hit early in the year. Now the whole year starts going downhill. Rumors of Xbox games coming to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch start to swirl all over the internet like a fucking turd in the toilet bowl. So this becomes such a huge deal where for weeks people are just freaking out. The internet is melting down over the fact that what the fuck, Xbox is about to put Sea of Thieves and all these games on PlayStation. Is this true? Is this true? Very reliable sources are saying, yes, this is true. This is happening very imminently. And Xbox, being the horrible communicators they are, they don't keep their mouths shut, and they don't just make this as light of a situation as humanly possible. They do the thing they always do, which is draw too much attention to the situation at hand. And so Xbox then hosts this official Xbox podcast video episode where Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond and these important figures at Xbox sit down, and for 30 minutes or so, they have a discussion saying, let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the thing that everyone is flipping out about. Yes, we are putting a select number of Xbox games onto PlayStation, and some of them are coming to Switch, and they're coming very imminently. But let's be very clear about this. This is just an experiment. It's just these 5 games, and the games were or was it 4 games or 5 games? It was Sea of Thieves, it was Grounded, it was Pentiment, it was Hi-Fi Rush. So it was 4 games, right? And they're like, it's just an experiment with these 4 games. We're gonna see how it goes, and then we'll learn from there. This is not the sky is falling. This is not all Xbox games are coming to PlayStation, and they made that abundantly clear. And then Sarah Bond, of course, is like, for all the people thinking this is Xbox capitulating and giving up on a hardware and saying that like the brand is dead as you know it, we just want to let you know we're super dedicated to hardware. There will be another generation of Xbox hardware, no doubt. We're currently working on the next generation of Xbox hardware, and it's going to be incredibly powerful and incredibly mind-bending what it can do, which is just such nonsense PR talk, because we've reached that point of diminishing returns where there's no chance that the next Xbox is anything other than just a slightly prettier, faster Xbox. So that right there is just setting the expectation way too high. But the point of that was to assure people, hey, at least for now, the console hardware is not going anywhere. Do not flip out. Do not lose your shit. So they start trying to calm people down, and I think honestly by having some official Xbox podcasts like this and drawing all this attention to the situation, they're kind of only exacerbating it and making it worse. And then of course Phil Spencer's whole like, this is just an experiment, we want to see how this goes. Such a silly line, because it's like, well, yeah, what did you think would happen? Well, Sea of Thieves comes to PlayStation, and it does incredibly fucking well. It's like the top best-selling game on PlayStation for like a month or two. I think in the UK it was the best-selling game for a couple months on PlayStation. It does incredibly well. Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded and Pentiment all do really well as also. And this is just a huge financial success, and this is the thing about Xbox. This is like how I sum up 2024 for Xbox, with like one kind of in like one line. Like here's 2024 for Xbox summed up nice and neatly. This was a great year for Xbox from a financial, from a revenue generating standpoint, and this was a horrible year for Xbox from a brand integrity standpoint. If you're here as an Xbox fan, Xbox had a horrible year, and if you're here as an Xbox player, someone who plays video games in the Xbox ecosystem, then Xbox had a wonderful year, and that's really the only way I can think of it. So yeah, they put these games out. Xbox games do incredibly well on PlayStation. Surprise, surprise. And now, if you have half a brain cell, this is not some cute little experiment. This wasn't some bet Xbox lost to PlayStation and now they have to put a couple games on their platform. This is the beginning of a more multi-platform, platform agnostic Xbox, maybe Microsoft brand of gaming, division of gaming as a brand. And it still must be the case. You got stop here for a second before we move on with the timeline. It still must be the case. Nothing is confirmed, but Xbox has to be facing some kind of internal civil war right now, because Phil Spencer and his team, despite the fact that they talk too much and they say things prematurely and all that, I think they have done a wonderful job since Phil Spencer came into power of making it abundantly clear what their vision is for Xbox as a brand and what their goal and objective is. I feel like from the time Phil Spencer started as the head of Xbox in 2014 up until 2024, so for 10 years, I think Phil Spencer did a really, really good job of speaking directly to the consumer and saying, hello, fuck Connect, fuck TV, fuck the console fanboy war. We are here to make very, very powerful, very high-end video game consoles that can play really, really great games at the best quality possible. And we are here to acquire and build and grow the best first-party content we possibly can to create a catalog of games that is unparalleled. You know, we want to have Xbox be a place where people go, damn, I want to play this game and this game and this game and this game, and they're only on Xbox. And Xbox is an amazing platform with amazing online infrastructure, a great controller, phenomenal performance, super fast speeds, amazing features that you can't find on competing platforms, and it's just the best place to play games. If you are a gamer, look no further than Xbox. I think Phil Spencer did a wonderful job for a full decade making that the clear and concise message. You look at the turnaround during the Xbox One generation, you look at the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S trying to have a more powerful console and a more accessible console, and then you look at the Xbox Series S and X kind of mirroring that with the most accessible and the most powerful console in the world, and then you look at the out the gate, we've acquired this team, this team, this team, we got Halo, we got Hellblade, we got Forza, we got all these fucking games, State of Decay 3, we got all these teams that we've acquired and they're doing all these things. And you look at everything we had going into the Xbox Series generation, it was very clear that that was the directive of Xbox. Just take Game Pass out of the equation for a second and just focus on the console and the brand and the games, and it was all about delivering amazing exclusive content to the best, most powerful platform out there for the best community of games, and in accessibility through affordable consoles and through amazing subscription services that would grant you access to the best games day one, this new revolutionary Netflix-like gaming service called Game Pass, and that was the idea. So for us to finally be in a position in early 2024 where it's like, we're going to get fucking Indiana Jones. We're going to get Avowed. We're going to get Hellblade 2 finally. We just got Starfield a couple months ago. All these games, you know, at the end of 2023, heading into 2024. And we're finally in this situation. We just finally acquired Activision. We have Call of Duty. You know, we just got into this position where finally Xbox has the console. They have the stars aligned to execute on the plan. And now they can go 2-3 months, boom, mega hit game. 2-3 months, boom, another mega hit game. Here's Avowed. Here's Indie. Here's Fable. Here's Perfect Dark. Boom, 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 boom. And it was perfect. Everything was perfect. And then right as that starts to happen, they start magically pouring their games all on the PlayStation storefront. It doesn't add up. And so I want to be clear about this. I know I'm not the only person to make this assessment. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of podcasters, a lot of pundits in the game space have made this assertion, this inference based on everything happening. But there is no doubt in my mind that the immediate becoming of a multi-platform publisher and the assassination, the self-assassination, the self-sabotage of Phil Spencer and his team's decade-long vision, all in a matter of months at the start of 2024, there's no doubt in my mind that that was anything other than investors and Satya Nadella and higher-ups at Microsoft and chief financial officers and people like that coming in and saying, all right, you just made not only the biggest acquisition in Xbox history, but the biggest acquisition in the history of the entire company of Microsoft in buying Activision Blizzard King. We need to see return on this investment as soon as fucking possible. This is not cute. Like we're not playing around. This is not like amateur hour. This isn't like when you guys bought Obsidian. We need cold, hard cash now. We need to see results. You know, investors want to see that this was a really smart purchase, and we got to prove it to them as soon as we possibly can. And the fastest way to do that was to say, hey, you know, this is Satya Nadella. Hey, we killed Windows Phone so we could put all of our shit on iPhone and Android. You know, we play nice with every hardware, every software maker out there. That's why all Microsoft's apps and products and services are available on Mac and iPhone and all these places, because we are a software and services company. We are not a proprietary consumer hardware company. So they said, crack that shit open. We'll do to you what we've done to every other division of this company. And Xbox games are coming to PlayStation because there's just too much money to be made on that platform that has a way bigger install base than what we have. And we need that money now. And so now the entire dynamic of Xbox overnight has changed to Xbox is going to make their money selling games to the PlayStation and PC market. And they're going to make $0 on Xbox because everyone's subscribed to Game Pass, which is a service that loses money. It's a loss leader. It loses money. And nobody on Xbox buys games, apparently. And the hardware will persist for as long as Microsoft arbitrarily determines that it will. And you cannot convince me the hardware is permanent. I'm sure we have it for another generation. I'm sure we have it for another 5 to 10 years. I feel confident in that. But this is Microsoft we're talking about. They will never admit when they're giving up, but they will give up. They gave up on Windows Phone. They gave up on Surface Duo. They gave up on Surface Book. They've given up on Surface Laptop. They gave up on Zune. They gave up on Groove Music. They gave up on They gave up on Cortana. They gave up on Windows 8 and 10 and just capitulated to becoming a fake Mac OS with Windows 11. They will give up on everything that is not an immediate success. Right now, the only thing Microsoft gives a shit about is their stupid Copilot AI and fucking Office 365. I mean, this is Azure, of course, cloud technology. This is the bread and butter of the company. It's cloud, it's fucking Office, and it's AI. This is what they give a shit about right now. So Xbox, you now have to bend and form into this because acquiring Activision got too many eyes on you as a division of our company. And now you guys don't get to play and experiment and do your cute little video game industry thing. Now you gotta play with the rest of the big tech company and do the thing that's gonna make the money. And you cannot convince me that's not what happened. Like until Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella, have a falling out, and one of them, Phil leaves the company, and then a year later we get like the tell-all interview after the NDAs are over or whatever. Like, once Phil Spencer says from his mouth, that's not what happened, here's what happened, I don't believe anything else was the case. That's just my 2 cents. So, again, this is really where the whole thing falls apart. Like, it's like, oh, great, we got the games coming, but the platform is dying. Like, this is the sky is falling for Xbox fans. So, they have whatever they call it. I forget what the internal code name for this was, but it's like Project fucking Vertical or whatever. And then they're going to basically put everything on all platforms. And anyway, we'll come back to this because Phil Spencer later says we're not ruling out any games. Everything's a possibility. Everything's on the table is what he says. So, all right. So that's happening. Games are selling like crazy. It's bad times. We need some good news. We need something to uplift us. So what does Xbox do? Well, they say, hey guys, remember when we became a multi-platform studio and we laid off all those people? Well, we're shutting down Tango Gameworks, Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Games. Fuck you. Enjoy being unemployed. I hope you like life on the streets. And so they said, thank you for putting Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation. You did such a wonderful job. Now go fucking kick rocks. Oh, and Arcane Austin, thank you for being forced into making that Redfall game that nobody liked and that you didn't want to make. You're dissolved now. You can all kick rocks. So that was awesome. So then these guys all lost their jobs. Studio closures happened. They said, hey, it's just business. Obviously, we never want for this to happen, but it had to happen. And it's just more bad news. And at this point in time, it's like, all right, well, fuck Xbox. This is like the worst year for Xbox, right? Just when you think they couldn't do any worse, 2024 is going to be the worst year for the brand. So that's no good, right? And then, whatever. I don't want to linger on video game industry layoffs too much because it's just the most ongoing, unanimously agreed, just sad and unfortunate reality of what we're dealing with because frankly, gaming publishers and developers ran their businesses like little children throughout the pandemic and even the years leading up to that, thinking that we need to grow, expand, as if the growth in gaming that came from everyone being locked inside during the COVID years, as if that was some sustainable, permanent, new normal thing, which it obviously never was and never was going to be. So we have a lot of immature, reckless expansion that came about during those years, which was just really unfortunate and unnecessary, a very avoidable era that was made by stupid, incapable, incompetent leaders and executives at these companies. And then you have that partnered with the fact that game development has become so incredibly unsustainable over the past 10 years or so, as budgets keep ballooning and we just get more and more teams involved, and every game just has to have all the fucking mustache hairs on the women and all the fucking sweat pits on the men and all the fucking open world objectives, and you guys just have to have your 200 fucking hour back of the box fucking advertisement on all your games. No, God forbid a game be like 8 hours, and a really good 8 hours, and then just you move on with life. And because of that, because of this fucking arms race of reckless growth in the games industry, we've reached this breaking point where something had to give, and now it's become unsustainable, and we have to start laying people off left and right. And so I just don't want to get into this story any more than we have to, because it's just, I feel like we're all understanding of what happened here and why we're in this mess. And so, yeah, now we got some game studio closures. We got to trim the fat. We can't have the Alpha Dogs and the Tango Gameworks, because now we got to have the money set aside to keep the Sledgehammer games of the world alive, unfortunately. So there we go. So that happens, and now it's just like, again, it's like, fuck Xbox. Maybe I should just buy a PlayStation, right? But then Xbox catches a break. There's a good little pop in goodwill and some fanfare, because nothing Xbox did actually, but because of a deal Bethesda made with Amazon Video years before Xbox even owned Bethesda, and the Fallout TV show lands on Amazon Prime Video, and it is, to many people's surprise, a very, very, very good TV show, and everyone loves it and has a great time, and it reignites a lot of excitement for the franchise. Sales and player activity on all the Fallout franchise as a whole goes through the roof. Fallout and Bethesda finally get a little bit of this resurgence and this little this little pop of love and adoration, especially, for Bethesda Game Studios, a team that has been getting nothing but shit for the past couple of years. So really nice little goodwill fanfare gesture there, with a great TV show to go with it. So this was a nice break, some much needed levity into an otherwise really rough year thus far for Xbox. A moment that definitely gets people hyped for the future of Xbox-owned studios like Bethesda Game Studios, who will no doubt make another Fallout game, which will no doubt be available on PlayStation for people on Xbox to not play, to play, but in addition to PlayStation players. But nonetheless, this was a really nice, much-needed little break in the bad news, and something positive, which was really great. Then in May, we get our first big game launch from Xbox, first party of the year. Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga launches in May, and no one gives a shit. This game just kind of comes and goes. It reviews okay. Doesn't review bad at all. Doesn't review great. A lot of people are like, yeah, this is a very unnecessary sequel. The thing that makes me sad about Hellblade 2 is I was very skeptical of this game from the moment it was announced to the moment it came out, where I said, I liked the first Hellblade, but I don't think that game needed a sequel at all. This is the absolute pinnacle of an example of an unnecessary but forced sequel. I really truly believe this game did not need to exist. And I still do feel that way, but I must admit, having played it, I think I like Hellblade 2 more than Hellblade 1. And I actually enjoyed this game way more than I thought I would. So I have to give props, because while Hellblade 2 is far from my favorite game of the year, while Hellblade 2 is far from you gotta play this game, it's so good. As someone who played the first game and enjoyed it, I also really enjoyed the second game. I thought the story was more interesting. I thought the characters were more interesting. I thought the game is just fucking beautiful to look at. It's a really fun and engaging experience. I liked Hellblade 2. It actually surpassed my admittedly low expectations, but it did surpass my expectations, and I think it was a pretty solid 7.5 out of 10. So Hellblade 2 launches. It's just the unfortunate reality of it is the game did horrible. Xbox doesn't talk numbers because they usually don't have good numbers to talk about. This game was consumed almost entirely by people on Game Pass. Clearly didn't sell well at all. And nobody talked about it. It kind of came like a fart in the wind, and we moved on with life. It's like that was it. After being the game announced alongside the Xbox Series X at the end of 2020, this game had been teased over our head for nearly 4 years, and when it finally came out, that was it. So Ninja Theory Hopefully, we get to see them move on from Hellblade after this, because even though I really respect this franchise and I think they've done great work with it, I just really think they need to move on to something that is more gameplay driven, something that is more, in line with what this team has historically done well. But we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. We obviously have like that Project Mara and some other things in the works, so we'll see. But yeah, Hellblade 2 came and went, and not really the best showing of your first big launch of the year, but we got Indie and Avowed on the way, so who cares? So then June rolls around, and this is possibly the best month of the year for Xbox. Honestly, this is like just a really good moment for Xbox. So, we're laying people off left and right. Our games aren't hitting. We're putting all of our games on PlayStation. Fuck Xbox. It's just a broken brand. Everything's going wrong. And then they do their signature summer showcase event, their E3 style showcase event. And this event is fucking great. I think people unanimously agree this is the best, if not easily top 3 best summer showcases / E3 presentations that Xbox has really ever given. It was truly phenomenal. It was what was it, an hour and a half, 2 hours, hour and a half of just nonstop, straight, one after another trailer, gameplay video, announcement, video game you definitely want to give a shit about. It was wonderful. We got a gameplay reveal for Perfect Dark. It looks amazing. We got a gameplay reveal for South of Midnight. It looks amazing. We got a gameplay reveal and story reveal for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It looked amazing, and as someone who just beat the game, spoiler alert, it is amazing. We got a reveal for Doom The Dark Ages, which looks amazing and is coming to PlayStation Day and date. And we got the reveal for Gears of War E-Day, which lit the world on fire. It was actually, honestly, the Gears of War E-Day, despite not being the game I'm most excited about right now for Xbox, that reveal / trailer was definitely my favorite part of the showcase, because honestly, for a brief moment there, the hype around how good that showcase was and the way that the internet reacted to that trailer and that reveal had such fucking big Xbox 360 peak era energy, and it was so good. If only for a second, if only for a fleeting second, it felt so good to feel that kind of palpable excitement and enthusiasm for Xbox. And what better franchise to do it with than such a classic, honestly, literally, what better franchise to do it with than Gears of War? Because even though Halo is technically their biggest franchise, Halo has a really battered brand associated with it, a record associated with it, and began life on the Xbox OG console, whereas Gears of War is a series that began on the Xbox 360, which is the peak generation of Xbox. It's the one everyone's nostalgic for and has the most fond memories of. And so having this kick-ass Gears of War announcement to coincide with this really excellent summer showcase, we got this awesome Black Ops 6 reveal and everything to go with it. This was such a feel-good, hype, much-needed moment of just like, hey, maybe Xbox is going to be okay. I don't know what the fuck's happening. They just put a bunch of games on PlayStation. They just told a bunch of people to kick rocks and tell their kids that they don't get to go to college anymore. They just fucking did a bunch of crazy-ass things. They just released Hellblade 2 with like little to no fucking fanfare whatsoever. I don't know what the hell's going on. Pokemon have guns and they're on Xbox. But everything feels okay, if only just for this moment, because this showcase is exactly what Xbox needed. So this is the unfortunate thing. It's like a lot of bad news, but like, man, the highs were so high. And this, in my opinion, was easily the highest high of the year for Xbox. It never got better than this. And then shortly after that event, Phil Spencer is doing an interview with Ryan McCaffrey of IGN. And Ryan McCaffrey goes, yo, what about this Xbox handheld that everyone fucking talks about all the time and how they'd love to see that be a thing? And Phil Spencer says, and I quote, I think there should be an Xbox handheld. I think we should have a handheld. That's my rough quote. I don't think that's exactly how he said it, but he said something to that effect. He said, I think we should have a handheld. And people flipped out, and it was like, oh my God, Xbox is working on a video game handheld. And then there were all these reports and rumors that they might even be able to reveal this thing as early as the end of 2024, early 2025. They might even be ready to release this thing in 2025. And we go, oh my God, the Xbox handheld is not only real, but it's coming like within the next year. And then Phil Spencer's like, also, I think this thing's got to run games natively. I don't think it could be a streaming device. I think it has to be able to run the video games on the hardware. And people are like, holy fucking shit, we're getting a Steam Deck, but it's the Xbox One. This is going to be amazing. And everyone was super excited about it. And then if I can jump down the timeline a little too far, Phil Spencer then later clarifies, well, we're exploring a handheld. We're working on it. We're in the development stages of it. We're in the prototype stages of it. But it's years away. And so, womp, womp, womp. Yes, we're getting an Xbox handheld, mostly, probably, hopefully. But it's not coming in 2025. It's probably not even coming in 2026. That might be a 2027 project for us. So maybe 2026, but probably a 2027 project. So the Xbox handheld that we've all been expecting imminently, some new announcement. It's a ways off. And listen, take your time, get it right. I'm okay to wait on it. I just think Xbox is in a position where they kind of can't wait for good news. They need good news now. So yeah, push this thing off a couple of years, and we'll just continue to get ads about Xbox being a fucking toaster oven and watching all the big exclusive games go to PlayStation. But that was another really big moment, and even though it's disappointing to see it get kind of punted, the expectation of when we'll get this, have that be punted, the double whammy of having that amazing showcase and then having Phil Spencer basically just say, like, yes, we are making the world's first Xbox dedicated handheld console, was just such a high point, honestly, for the brand. And so that was really, really awesome. But then it gets kind of wonky again because it can't stay good. So I'm personally not crazy about about the vitriol and hate that surrounds this next one, because I think it was an inevitable, completely necessary thing to have happen. And I do think the internet absolutely overreacted about this, but nonetheless, it is technically bad news. And so we must categorize it as such, because no one wants to pay more money. Game Pass got a bunch of tier changes and price increases. Now, I think people overcomplicated and over freaked out about how bad the tier change. This one doesn't have cloud streaming. This one doesn't even have day one games. Listen, man, Game Pass, I don't know how many times to say it. Game Pass is an outlandishly expensive endeavor for Xbox to be involved in. To operate and justify the existence of that thing, they have to pay an arm and a fucking leg. I promise you, with how barely interested PC players are with Game Pass and how few players there are on Xbox hardware, Game Pass does not make the money to be profitable. I don't care what anyone says. I do not believe it. Show me the actual fucking numbers. There's no chance in hell Game Pass is profitable. And yes, Game Pass was already way too good of a deal to be true, so inevitably the prices had to go up. The only one that really fucking matters is Game Pass Ultimate, because there's no reason why you would have Game Pass really, for the most part, if not to have Game Pass Ultimate, because that's the one that gets you day one games at launch. So you want to play Indie the day it comes out, you want to play Black Ops 6 the day it comes out, you got to have Game Pass Ultimate. It went up to $20 US per month, and I think it is still incredibly valuable. I literally was just thinking about it the other day when I wrapped up Indiana Jones. Wow, we had Stalker in November, that's a $70 game. We had Indie in December, that's a $70 game. And a month before that, we had Black Ops 6, that's a $70 game. Wow, that's amazing. That's over $200 in video games right there. That's like 9 or 10 months worth of Game Pass value right there in just 3 games back to back to back. And then we're going to get Avowed in like a month and a half. Wow, that's another $70 value right there in the Game Pass. So trust me, Game Pass Ultimate more than has enough value to justify its price tag. Plus you get game streaming, plus you get PC, plus you get, all the bells and whistles. Game Pass is still an incredibly amazing value, in my opinion, no doubt about it. I understand price increases are not ideal, especially when the economy is rough and people's dollars are aren't going nearly as far as they've ever gone in the past. So I'm not here to defend it and say, oh, come on, don't be upset that you have to pay more. I'm just saying it was kind of obvious that this was going to happen, and it was kind of not unexpected at all. It's very much so expected. And so I just can't feign this like outrage that people experienced around this time, because it was an inevitability. And of course they had to do it leading up to the launch of Black Ops 6 into Game Pass, because that's going to be your biggest opportunity to cash it on some new players, and to set the expectation going forward that this is Game Pass. It has to be at this price point. We have to make this thing closer to a profitable endeavor for us. And so that's just what it is. So that happened. And then Starfield Shattered Spaces comes out. So this is supposed to be a good one. It's the big expansion for Starfield. But unfortunately, Starfield Shattered Spaces is pretty mid. And it doesn't do a whole lot. It doesn't review all that well. It kind of comes and goes. And that's really all there is to say about Starfield Shattered Space. It's just more content, but not the best content, honestly. So that happens. And then in early October, during the Halo Championship, whatever event, esports thing, 343 officially rebrands to become Halo Studios. So 343 Industries is now Halo Studios, and Halo is officially moving to the Unreal Engine 5. Rumors begin of a possible Halo Combat Evolved from the ground up remake in Unreal Engine 5, and rumors suggest that this will probably be Halo's foray on the PlayStation 5. So here we go. So some of this is confirmed. Some of this is rumored. The confirmed part, of course, being Halo Studios and confirmation that Halo is going on to Unreal 5. Now, they made it clear, like, hey, we're just working on inspirational stuff. We're playing around with the engine. We haven't started development of the next game proper yet. We're just kind of getting our feet wet as a new team, because Halo Studios basically had to staff up and become a new team. And while I believe that, they made it abundantly clear the stuff they're fucking around with is like very Combat Evolve inspired. And so I think without a doubt, the plan here is to get your feet wet and learn how to work together as a team by taking on this project where you recreate Halo Combat Evolved in Unreal Engine 5, the new engine you're working on. And that can be a great excuse to re-release this game for the 100th time and make money off of it. And also introduce it to the PlayStation market. Makes perfect sense. And then after you do that, the team can be like, okay, let's go make a new Halo game. And then you can make Halo 7 or whatever the fuck you want to do. So I just don't see how that's not what's happening here. I don't want that to be the case. What's happening here? It's going to be a fucking weird day when Halo does finally come to PlayStation. But we got to be prepared for it, because we're getting there. We're getting there closer. We're closer to it than you think. So that was a little bit of a bombshell news story after many years of rumors about them ditching Slipspace and their proprietary engine stuff that they'd worked on forever and ever, just saying fuck it, moving over to Unreal Engine 5. So that as 343, I mean Halo Studios, continues to can go through their churn of staff as people come and go. They'll be able to easily pick up and work on the game because they will be working in a familiar universal engine of Unreal Engine 5. So there's that. Then one of the only other remaining positive stories of the year takes place, and towards the end of October, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launches day one into Game Pass, and is a huge success as a game, that is, because it is probably the most well-received and well-liked Call of Duty game in many years, honestly, since possibly since Black Ops 3. Or Black Ops 2 even, maybe. Like, I mean, this is like a really well-liked Call of Duty. A lot of lapsed Call of Duty players are coming back to the franchise just because of how good this game is. And so it's just a really positive moment where a lot of Call of Duty fans are satisfied, and a lot of Call of Duty veterans that have left the franchise have come back. And it's just kind of awesome to see people come together and just enjoy this reliably fun comfort food of a game, and see it kind of be Xbox's first foray with the franchise as the new owner of Activision, and see it be such a success is a really good optical and marketing win for Xbox. It's just an all-around good thing for them. Now, here's the catch about Black Ops 6. And this is like the thing that no one has said, but we have to draw attention to. Black Ops 6 came out, as of the time of recording this, over 2 months ago. And no one's really said jack shit about Game Pass since then. So it probably stands... Also, they're saying that Game Pass had pretty much no impact on the game's sales, and the game is still like the best-selling COD right now. It's like doing insanely well. So it kind of stands to reason that Game Pass probably did not, or I should say the other way around, Black Ops 6 did not really move the needle for Game Pass. Now, was there an uptick in subscribers? No fucking doubt there in my mind. Of course there was. But did Call of Duty Black Ops send this resurgence of new interested people towards Game Pass that probably made the subscription service get this second shot of life? 5-10 million more people are now subscribing to Game Pass between console and PC because they want to get in on Black Ops 6. It would appear that is 100% not what happened. it makes you wonder, on a game like Call of Duty that offers so much content, so much value, and so much replayability, maybe it makes more sense for a lot of people to just put down $70, buy the game, and play it that way than to subscribe just for 1 month to a game that you might be playing for 3 or 4 months ad nauseum. So in this case, it's like, I don't know, maybe this was the game, maybe this wasn't the kind of game that would drive Game Pass. Who the fuck knows? But it's just the fact that Xbox has nothing to say about Game Pass after 2 months of this game being on Game Pass probably leads you to believe that not a whole lot was done as a result of having this be made day one available. So that's a little concerning, but the game has done really well, and I'm sure Xbox is incredibly thrilled to have a game do this well, of course, considering it's also on PlayStation, and just to see the hand over fist money that get to enjoy and relish that hand over fist money that Call of Duty brings in each and every year. All right, then Flight Simulator 2024 comes out. Ara History Untold comes out. A couple other games come out. In November, Stalker 2 comes out. It's a little buggy. It's got some issues, but people generally like the game a decent amount. Doesn't do incredibly well with the reviews, but does pretty good. Definitely some issues to be worked and fixed. And then, I forgot this one. This is a couple months back. So at Gamescom, we get a date for Indiana Jones. So here we go with the bad news again. So we get another look at Indiana Jones with a release date, and the announcement that the game will come to PlayStation just a few months after it comes to Xbox in December. So again, bad news there. And then on top of that, in December, Xbox begins this new marketing campaign. It's all over the internet, all over subway stations and fucking cities with public transit, all over TV, all over the place, all over fucking Sunday NFL games. This new marketing campaign called This Is an Xbox, where they say, oh, hey, this is your computer. It's an Xbox. This is your cell phone. It's an Xbox. This is your tablet. It's an Xbox. This is your Xbox. It's an Xbox. This is your PlayStation. It's an Xbox. Whatever device you're playing on, watching on, doing whatever on, it's a fucking Xbox. Everything is an Xbox now. And then, it's kind of throwing it in there like, hey, we're more or less just moving away from this whole idea that we're like some box you buy for your TV center. We are just this agnostic multi-platform, wherever you can find us, come and get us kind of platform. And so that happens. And then in December, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle finally comes out, and honestly is the Xbox exclusive that the brand desperately, desperately needs. The game is great. It reviews great. It gets a lot of attention. It is like really the first time in a long ass time that Xbox has had a game that just kind of comes out and people are like, yo, this game's awesome. You see that new Indiana Jones game? No real strings attached. No bullshit. No, the game's broken or has a stupid thing or this ruined it or it needs post-launch content support. Really, there's nothing wrong with Indiana Jones. It just comes out. It's a very great video game. People with PC or Xbox are enjoying the hell out of it. It's a great Game Pass get. But Xbox has shot themselves in the foot with this a little bit because they have made it clear that this game is not an Xbox game for long. Just wait a few months. It'll come to PlayStation. And so the irony here being that after a decade of Phil Spencer being in charge, saying, I want to get this brand on track. We need to acquire studios and build new teams that are going to make the games that are going to draw people to Xbox and make this brand a more competitive brand. They finally put out a game that does all of those things, that ticks all those boxes. And it comes out at a time where they're being forced to finally, open the floodgates and put the content on the competitor's platform. So it is a bittersweet moment indeed as we round out 2024. And then Satya Nadella says in an interview around that same time that he thinks Xbox's new strategy is great and he's all in support of it. Of course, he says that he's the CEO. And then lastly, really, is that Xbox has pretty much no showing at the Game Awards in December. And that's probably just because they have their January event coming up pretty soon, which we expect to hear about in the next week or two. They'll probably put a date on that. But that is Xbox in a nutshell in 2024, you guys. It is not the best by any means, but there are some super high highs. It is like the highest highs and the lowest lows. Great January with that showcase, a great June showcase, really one of the best ever. Black Ops 6 is great. Indiana Jones is great. Stalker's great value. A bunch of other games coming to Game Pass, great value. Phil Spencer says, hey, we want to make a handheld, and then just everything else. Layoffs, studio closures, becoming a third-party publisher, supporting your biggest competitor with your games, giving up on a vision right as it finally comes to fruition, right? all the pieces start to fall into place. The picture becomes clearer than ever before, and Satya Nadella and the higher-ups at Microsoft say, no, fuck you, Phil Spencer. We're doing this now. Man, it's just so freaking crazy. But that is Xbox in review in the year 2024. Now, there's probably some things I missed here and there. If you feel like there's anything I really missed that was egregious, feel free to tell me, Jesse, how the fuck could you forget this? But with that said, guys, we're going to take a little water break here, come back, and then we'll get into Xbox in 2025. We've looked behind. Now we're going to look forward and see, hopefully, how 2025 is going to be a much better year for the brand than 2024. Let's get right into that. All right, we're back. I needed a little water and stretch break there for a minute. Too much talking to yourself, it can get you tired. It's weird. It's the whole thing. You just sit in a corner and you just talk and talk and talk without stopping, and eventually you're like, yeah, I need a break from this. Man, I feel like I've lost endurance. I'll be honest. Xbox On is 5 years old now? What the hell is wrong with me? And yeah, I feel like the longer I do this show, the more tired I get with like the long stretches of talking. I don't know. I need a co-host, or I need to shorten the show, or something to give me more breaks from all the nonsense and going on about mayonnaise versus ketchup or whatever we do on the show. We'll say it's actually New Year's Eve, the eve of New Year's, as I'm recording this, and all my neighbors. I live in a pretty cookie cutter neighborhood. Like, there's a lot of houses and they're all pretty close to each other. It's a new development, so like they don't give you any space anymore, and which is cool. I like it. It's fun. I've never gotten to live in like this kind of suburbia type setting, so I'm enjoying it. But the cool thing about New Year's is every fucking neighbor has to do their own fireworks. So it sounds like it sounds. Speaking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it sounds like fucking World War II out here. It sounds like all these people from Manhattan are doing some kind of project in their backyard, because yeah, there's lots of explosions. I don't think it's coming through the mic, so it shouldn't be an issue. But just know I'm right now recording to you about Xbox with a backdrop of just fucking explosions in the sky. I mean, which is whatever. It's 4th of July. Have fun. Enjoy it. Fireworks are awesome. Anyway, so let's get back to our topic here. So now we're looking at Xbox going forward into 2025. Look ahead. So I've broken it down into these segments, and I don't know why I put it in this order, but I did. Showcases, game releases, hardware, and other other stories, expectations. I really thought I was gonna have a lot more to put down here. I kept checking. I would look up on the internet like games to expect in 2025, Xbox stories for 2025, Xbox news 2025. I just kept like looking, binging, googling all this stuff. I was like, what am I missing? I know there's something I'm missing, and I feel like there's something that we're expecting from Xbox this year that I did not include in all of this that is so obvious, but my stupid brain can't fucking think of it. So we'll just move on. If I missed something, feel free to point it out, and oh well, this is just a pretty decent approximation of where we stand in January 2025, looking ahead for the next 12 months. So let's start off with these showcases. So as we've already kind of touched on a little bit, Xbox has begun these past couple of years doing this wonderful January, they call it a digital direct event, and I'm expecting that they will do that again this year. So we should expect an announcement for this probably in 2 weeks or something, and then the event will be in 3 or 4 weeks. So in the next 14 to 21 days, we should know pretty much all about this. They may announce it only like 4 to 7 days in advance, but this usually takes place around the 3rd or 4th week of January. So look forward to pretty soon from now hearing an announcement regarding a January digital direct from Xbox. And in history, or in the past, they've only done this 2 prior years. They've done it in 2023 and 2024. But what they do is they focus on 4 games that are planned to release in this calendar year, and they focus on 4 deep dives on each one of those games, so a deep dive per game. Last year they had a 5th bonus game, but it was for like a third-party Japanese, whatever. But so we're keeping the focus on 4 first-party titles that will release in 2025 that we expect to be at this event. My money is on, I don't think it will be on Avowed, because Avowed comes out in like 6 weeks. 6 or 7 weeks, and it was at last year's direct event, so I think they'll save that because we've already had a showcase for this, but I think they'll focus on Fable, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, and the last one I cannot determine. I don't know what it'll be. I think it's Fable, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, and maybe Outer Worlds 2. It might be those 4. So we'll see. I wonder how they're going to treat Outer Worlds 2, because the first one was such a third-party game because it was released about a year before Xbox, or no, it was released it was released after Xbox had acquired Obsidian, but the game had already been like well in development and everything. So this was a deal that had been inked and signed and everything before Xbox really took over Obsidian. So that was published by Private Division, which is a smaller label under Take-Two. It was a multi-platform game, and this second game is a multi-platform game. We understand that it is going to be a day-and-date PlayStation, Xbox, everything kind of game. And even though this one is going to be published by Xbox, or so it seems from what we can tell so far, they're going to continue to treat this as a multi-platform game. So I don't know. I'm wondering about that. It'll be interesting, especially with the fact that Obsidian's supposed to have 2 of these games next year between Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed, which is just mind-blowing. But that's the January event. I'm not 100% sure that those are the 4 games, but I think those will be the 4 games. Then in June, we always get their Summer Showcase event. This was formerly their E3 Showcase. This usually happens around the first or second Sunday in June. It's always a Sunday, usually around like the 9th or the 10th of the month, somewhere in that ballpark. So let's look at a map. Let's look at a calendar for 2025. That Sunday would be, it would be Sunday, June 8th. So that will probably be the date, and we'll get the Xbox Summer Showcase, and that will be their big shebang. That's their big, where we're going to get deep dives on fucking, who knows, Perfect Dark, and Phil Spencer will come out and be like, we have acquired Pepsi Cola, it's on Game Pass now, whatever the fuck they do. And so that will happen. But that will obviously, I'm not going to speculate on what they'll talk about specifically, but that will be, the big exciting showcase, as it always is. Then they usually do a little bit of something at Gamescom. They've kind of slowed down with how present they are at Gamescom, but they usually do a thing or two. Last year was the Indiana Jones release date announcement, and then they usually show up at the Game Awards. Again, this past year they were barely at the Game Awards, but they usually do something at the Game Awards, so they might show up there as well. But really for showcases, I'm not expecting too much. I think Xbox needs to slow down on the showcases and just try to talk less and show up less. That's one thing Sony does a little too well that I think Xbox could do a little better. It's just kind of shut the fuck up sometimes and talk only when you really have a good reason to talk, because that is a that way you say more with less. And also you put your foot in your mouth less often. But I do understand that Xbox does kind of have an imperative to speak more than PlayStation inherently, just because they have this ongoing subscription service to maintain and to continue to communicate and market to people. And so I think just by way of being the arbiters of Game Pass, they have to kind of talk more. But I do think they talk more than they need to, and they talk about things that they don't need to talk about way too often. So that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, so the January Direct, the Summer Showcase, maybe a little Gamescom, maybe a little Game Awards, but that's it for the most part. Really, January and June being the hot months for big tentpole Xbox news, and then everything else will just be kind of stuff we learn about along the way. So that's it for showcases this year. Let's get into the most exciting part, the games. So this is in no particular release order. What I've tried to do is put all like the first party stuff at the top of the list here, so we'll get through that. These are games that are either definitively announced for 2025 or games that do not have release dates that some outlets and some people suggest may come out this year, that in some cases I don't fucking think they're coming out this year, but we'll talk about it on a case-by-case basis. So let's start out with the obvious one. Avowed comes out on February 18th. This is confirmed. This has a solid date. This game was originally supposed to come out last November, but it is now coming out on February 18th. This is my most anticipated game of the whole year, not just for Xbox, but just period. This is my number 1 most anticipated game. So I'm very much looking forward to getting my teeth sunken into Avowed. I'll be done with Spider-Man 2 by then, because Spider-Man 2 hits PC on January 29th, so I'm going to jump right into that and blast through Spider-Man 2 in like a weekend and have a great time with that. I'm currently working on, I've already beat Indy, which we'll talk about next week. I'm working on Batman Arkham Origins, which I'll probably have done by next week. Then I'm probably going to try to go back to Marvel Midnight Suns and finally like sit down and truly play through that game all the way, as we wait for Spider-Man and Avowed to come out. But oh my God, dude, Avowed, that is our first big game of the year, February 18th. I cannot wait for this game. There's something about Obsidian makes wonderful games. And there's just something about this game where it nails that medieval, mythical Dungeons and Dragons, Skyrim kind of vibe in such a way that speaks to me so much more than the other IP that it's related to. that it's adjacent to. And I've wanted to see more and know more and play this game since the moment it was released or announced rather. And we're finally there. This is one of those long time Xbox exclusive games that I've been so hyped about since the moment we first learned about it. And I know a lot of people were disappointed the first time we saw that gameplay reveal. They're like, oh, why is it so colorful? Why is the art style like this? Oh, the graphics aren't that. Dude, shut up. To me, this game just looks like an absolute blast, and I cannot wait to make my own judgment on the quality of it and whether or not it's good or not. So February 18th, really looking forward to Avowed. Of course, that game, while still technically only announced as an Xbox exclusive, Xbox and PC, I'm expecting that we will see that game come to PS5 in this calendar year. So maybe they'll announce it like a month or two out, maybe a couple months after it comes to Xbox. They're still kind of testing the waters with how to do this. I think they've learned that like in the case of like Indiana Jones, like announcing the dates like together like that was a buzzkill. Maybe the way to do this is like let Xbox have its fucking moment in the sun. Let audiences find out how good this game is. Let PlayStation players not know the answer to when it comes to PlayStation. Let the game just come out on Xbox, review well, sell well, be received well. Just watch people have fun and talk about how great it is, and have PlayStation players just kind of anguish a little bit in it, and then be like, okay, it's been a couple months, the hype's over. The game comes to PlayStation in 6 months. Here's your date. Like just do it that way instead of being like, hey, Xbox fans, thanks for waiting patiently for 4 years. By the way, PlayStation, you get it too. That's such a buzzkill. So they're playing around with how to properly do those announcements, but I think that might be how they handle Avowed, in my opinion. All right, next up, Fable is supposed to come out in 2025. Now, everyone has said Fable is coming out in 2025. There have been strong rumors as of late that Fable could get delayed into 2026. I personally never fucking thought Fable was coming out in 2025. I still do not think Fable is coming out in 2025. I think it will be at that direct in January. I think Xbox will give you the lip service that they anticipate this game will come out in 2025. And then I think at some point around the summer showcase, we will learn about a delay for this game into 2026. Because keep in mind, we still have not seen a gameplay reveal for Fable. Holy actual shit. And this is one of those games that I think has the potential to get moved to a day-and-date PlayStation release. This game might just skip an exclusive window for Xbox altogether and just go straight on the PlayStation. I could be totally wrong about that, but I just feel like, with the rumors being that this game is so expensive, it's so over budget, it's been under development for so long, I think Xbox is eager to get this thing out the door and get some fucking money back on it. And like I said, they're going to make their money by selling this game to PlayStation and PC players, not from Xbox fans. Xbox fans are going to play it on Game Pass like us, and whatever. Xbox is going to just, dwindle in the corner like it does. But anyway, Fable, I'm so curious to see more of this game. As someone who does not have an affinity and much experience with the original Fable trilogy, it's a blind spot on Xbox history for myself, to be honest. I'm very curious about this game because I think it sounds exciting. It looks good. I just gotta see more of it. Like, show me the fucking game. Don't show me a snippet. Don't get cute and be like, yeah, the game just looks so good. That's what it looks like running an engine. It's like, no. Give me a proper gameplay demo. Let me see a vertical slice of this game running in action for like 5 to 10 minutes. Like, I want to see what Fable looks like already. Like, enough is enough. It's been enough teases. So that's Fable. I still don't believe it's coming out this year, but I think the intention will be to try and get it out this year, at least for the next couple months. That will be the way that it's talked about. The next game is actually the other game I am most anticipating this year. Again, not just because it's an Xbox game, but because it is just the game I'm most looking forward to playing other than Avowed. And it comes from a developer that I have pretty much no fucking love for, but God, do I think this game looks great. And that is South of Midnight from Compulsion Games. Holy shit, I am enamored with this game. From the past 2 years, since it was properly revealed, honestly, since before that, when Jez Corden at Windows Central did some reporting on like what this game is supposed to be, the type of setting it takes place in, and like what we can expect from it, based on early reports. This game just looks phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's this story-driven third-person action adventure. I love that shit. This amazing kind of like Spider-Verse, like 22 frame per second kind of skippy art style that just looks so good with this like sketch art, Southern Gothic look that's just so so charming and interesting, and I really love the look and the feel of this world. The main character, she seems really interesting. Just the characters, the music, the tone, just all the creatures you encounter. This game looks like it is going to be an absolute joy to play, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I'm assuming, in my opinion, a great time to release a game like South of Midnight would be summer, because God knows the summertime needs releases, but we don't get games in the summer. So really, I think if they can slot this around like the August, September kind of, September, whatever time frame. The tricky thing is, and let's just get to the elephant in the room. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto 6 is supposed to come out this year. Everyone in the world who is even remotely considering creating a video game is going to be trying to plan when to launch their game around Grand Theft Auto 6. No one wants to go up against that game. No one wants to go up the week or two before it or the week or two after it. Everyone wants to get a large amount of distance between themselves and Grand Theft Auto 6. So this is where it gets tricky. It's like you think about South of Midnight, you're like, this would be a great game for September. But you're like, oh, if Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out in September, you don't want to fucking be anywhere near that. Because it doesn't matter if your game has anything in common with Grand Theft Auto 6 or not. You just don't want to be near Grand Theft Auto 6 because that game is going to be a fucking juggernaut that is going to take all of the energy from the entertainment industry. And I would say it is such a big deal that I feel confident in saying this. Grand Theft Auto 6 is such a big deal that if I were a movie studio, I wouldn't want to release my movie around the week or the week before, the week after, the week of Grand Theft Auto 6. You want to get the fuck out of there. Like, people are going to forego football, movies, TV, other video games, raising their children, grocery shopping, going to work, everything, you name it. People are going to prioritize Grand Theft Auto over just about fucking anything when that game comes out. So you want to steer clear of that shit. So I don't know, where South of Midnight falls, because it seems like the kind of game that's going to need that, that's going to come out this year, but it's going to need kind of the first half of the year to get that polish in. So, honestly, like if you told me the game was ready to go now, more or less, I would say the perfect time for this game is in that May slot. Xbox likes that May time slot. Hellblade got May last year. The year before that was what am I trying to say? Fucking, what am I saying? Arcane Austin, fucking Bite, Vampire Bite. What is wrong with me? Redfall. God damn, I'm having a stroke. So first stroke of the year. So Redfall was the year before that. Now, that being said, it does seem like May is a little bit of a cursed month for Xbox. They're on a bit of a losing streak with putting games out in the month of May. I think it's a really great time of year to put out a first-party game. I think the window they've chosen there is excellent, but they just unfortunately not really hit with that window recently. So, South of Midnight, I think May would be a great time for you, but God, I hope if you do get that slot that you're not, destined to that curse of games that kind of flail around that time. But yeah, that would be a really good time frame to get it in, because you're well away from the fall time. You don't have to worry about the fucking deluge of games coming out around that time. So that could be good. All right, let's move a little faster. I'm kind of meandering about. So Towerborn, now this is already available in early access on Steam, but it is not on Xbox yet. This is a second-party game for Xbox. This game looks like an absolute joy. I've stayed away from the Steam early access release because I want nothing to do with that. I just want to play the game on Xbox when it's available. They don't have a date for it yet, but they said Q1, I believe, of 2021 or 2025. So we should be seeing and hearing about this game relatively soon. So there's that. Then, okay, now we start to get into like the fucking right time of year. Gears of War E-Day. I keep seeing this pop up on people's lists of like Xbox games we're expecting to see in 2025. Okay. If you think Gears of War E-Day is coming out this year, you are fucking touched in the head. There's no chance in hell. They showed us a cinematic trailer rendering of what this game's tone is, because this game is in early development. I think this game is probably at the absolute earliest a 2027 game. I would not hold your breath for 2025 at all, but it'd be nice. I mean, who wouldn't want another Gears of War game if we could get one? It has been, holy hell, almost 6 years since Gears of War 5. Because time is on two times YouTube speed right now. But Yeah, there's just no chance this game's coming out. I don't believe it. All right, now speaking of a game that is coming out this year, Doom: The Dark Ages. Now, this is another perfect candidate for that May release window. So I think between South of Midnight and Doom, one of these two games is getting that May release window. And I think Doom games in the past have usually been released around March. I think both of them have been released around March time, right? Yeah, because the Doom Eternal was released like right at the beginning of COVID alongside Animal Crossing, so that was March. And then Doom 2016 was released, I want to say it was either March, April, or May. It was definitely within that 3-month window. So this would kind of be in line with where historically Doom has ended up. So I could see that being the case. That would be a good time slot. Time slot for Doom as well. I mean, maybe they could. It would be too front loaded of a year. You know, if you had Avowed in February and then Doom in March and then South of Midnight in May. It's like, okay, now we're way too, what is this? And then Fable can be your big fall game. You know, you want to put Fable in like the October-November window, of course. I don't know, man. It seems a little front loaded for the first half of the year. I don't know that I buy it, but Doom: The Dark Ages, of course, is going to be one that I believe will come out in 2025, and then one I think we'll see at this January event. So look to see a lot more about this game very, very soon. Next up, Outer Worlds 2, which just got confirmed at the Game Awards for a 2025 release. I don't know how the fuck this is possible, but my guess is that this would be a later game. This is going to be that game that takes the Stalker or Indiana Jones release window, so sometime November, December, I think, is when we would get Outer Worlds 2. Honestly, I feel like early December, that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle window is actually kind of perfect for Outer Worlds, if you ask me. So I'm going to guess that's where this slots, if it doesn't get delayed into 2026. But yeah, as of now, the plan is to get that game out this year. And we'll just have to fucking wait and see about that. It's insane that Obsidian is ready to go not once, but twice with two of these kinds of third or first person single player RPG open world style games. I mean, it's not Skyrim open world, but it's open area. You know, you travel to different points. And it's a big game. It's not, it's not a linear little 3D platformer or anything like that. All right, where are we next? Okay, next on the list that I do not believe this game is coming out in 2025, but it shows up on the list anyway. Clockwork Revolution from In Exile. I don't believe for a single second this game is coming out for another year or two, but I'd love to see that be the case because it's one of my most anticipated games coming from an Xbox team. But I basically skip it. I don't think there's any chance. I hope to see a lot more of it though at the June showcase event. Next up, State of Decay 3. Speaking of games that are just kind of where the fuck are they? Now, we knew that this game, due to some reporting from Kotaku a few years back, was in some kind of development stasis or hell mode, and that got kind of restarted in a way. So I don't know what to expect from State of Decay 3. I do expect to see it in action this summer at the showcase event, but I don't think it will be a 2025 game. I think it will be a 2026 game. That is my expectation, is that this is one of the locked-in 2026 titles. Speaking of locked-in 2026 titles, I think the next one that we can expect from that list, it will be Perfect Dark. Now, I see this show up on lists for 2025. I think no fucking way. If that were to be true, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I'm really thinking 2026 for Perfect Dark, which, man, that game looks so good. Honestly, dude, it's so fucking disappointing. I'm sorry. Every time I think about it, I gotta stop what I'm doing and talk about it. It's so disappointing, man. 2024 was great in terms of the games, right? Stalker 2 was good. Indiana Jones was good. Hellblade happened finally. It was a good year. Black Ops 6. It was a good time for Xbox. And then 2025, it's like, oh yeah, Avowed and Fable and South of Midnight and Doom and Outer Worlds. It's like, oh my God, we're doing so well. And it's like, oh, 2026, we got fucking Perfect Dark, we got State of Decay, we got, maybe Clockwork Revolution. It's like, oh my God, how can it get any better? And it's like, well, the next year in 2027, we got Gears of War E-Day. And it's like, oh my fucking dick, dude. If we could just go back in time, never do Game Pass, never buy Activision, just keep the fucking not gravy train because it hasn't been great, but keep the status quo and keep things the way they had been. It's like, oh my God, this is exactly what we needed Xbox to become. So it's so disappointing in that sense. But anyway, so Perfect Dark, I'm expecting that's a 2026 game. We'll see at the June showcase events. And then the next game is another game that has had some kind of it's one of those words I just can't say. Tumultuous times or development cycles, which is Rare's Everwild, another game I am not expecting for 2025 whatsoever, but I could see this being a 2026 game. So honestly, there's a lot of stuff that I could see slotting in 2026, including the next game, which is Hideo Kojima's what's it, the horror experience game they're making, OD. I could totally see that being a thing next year. So it's another one. God damn, dude, 2026 looks like it's going to be stacked. And then also Arcane. Leon is working on Marvel Blade, which we have not seen yet. We could get a gameplay reveal for that this summer at the showcase. No chance in hell it's a 2025 game. But this could be a December. This could be like your Indiana Jones for next year, like your December 2026 title. And then, of course, these are like the far off ones I just threw in there because why not, which are Elder Scrolls 6, which I think is probably 2 to 3 years away. At the absolute earliest, probably more like 3 years away. And then Halo Combat Evolved, the remake, which is not confirmed, but I think it's 100% happening. They're going to make this for PlayStation on Unreal Engine 5 because this is what happens when you let when you let fucking the internet world come out of the computer onto the real world, is you get fucking Halo and Unreal Engine 5 for PlayStation, which is a bunch of things that I never thought I'd say, but here we are saying it. But that's it for the Xbox first party stuff. Moving down the list, especially with some more Game Pass centric marketing or second party centric kind of titles. March 27th, we got confirmed Atomfall. This is that, I don't know what it is, if it's like an immersive sim or what, but this game looks great. It's a Game Pass game. It's that one where it's like England if the atomic bombs in World War II had been centered in Europe, or like closer to London. And this game looks really cool, really interesting. I definitely want to check that game out. Expedition 33, it's that weird like French developed JRPG style game that was shown last year. Looks really, really good. Civilization 7 has a confirmed date of February 11th, and that's a Game Pass game, I believe. That's a highly anticipated game for earlier this year. February 14th, we got Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's the recently delayed Japanese Assassin's Creed game that people have been waiting for forever. On February 21st, we got Xbox adjacent franchise Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which is just the next entry in a series that I love very much, but I cannot keep up with. And February 28th, we got a game that's going to do very, very well, Monster Hunter Wilds. So, February is fucking stacked this year, man. Civ 7, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Like a Dragon, Pirating Hawaii, Monster Hunter Wild, and Avowed. Holy absolute dick in butt. Then in March, we got a little bit of a thing going on with Split Fiction, which is the new Joseph Farah game that was just revealed at the Game Awards. We got the first Berserker Kazan on March 27th. We already talked about Atomfall. That's in March. So March is a little stacked with some good games as well. Other games coming out this year that don't have release dates, but we have on the list here are FBC Firebreak, which is that new multiplayer kind of Left 4 Dead style game set in the Control universe from Remedy, the Alan Wake developer. So that looks really good. I think that game actually looks surprisingly great. Borderlands 4, which is coming out this year. We just got trailer for recently at the Game Awards. Elden Ring Night Rain, which is that new multiplayer cooperative Elden Ring game that was just announced. That's coming out this year. Of course, we already talked about it. The biggest game of the year that's coming out, Grand Theft Auto 6. No date yet, but you can assume that's probably like an early fall type game. GTA 5 came out in September of 2013, so you could see a September timeframe kind of being ideal. It looks like Rockstar usually likes to go for that September to November window, which is kind of unusually cruel. It's like that's already kind of the busy season. Why can't you just go out in this summer when, everyone, no one's releasing games and everyone's still going to buy your thing anyway? Just do the world a favor. Just put GTA out in like June or something like that. But anyway, I'm expecting that to be a September, October, or November release. And then this game is not 100% confirmed for 2025, or at least I don't think it is. But Judas, which is the new Ken Levine game, the father of BioShock, his new game that looks very BioShock influenced, that's being published also by 2K, the publisher of BioShock. This game looks really, really good. This game is actually pretty fucking high. It's probably my third most anticipated game behind South of Midnight and Avowed, so I'm very much looking forward to this game. Very much want to get my hands all over as soon as that happens because I love BioShock. I'm very interested to see what Ken Levine's been working on after all these many, many, many years since his last release. Another game that's coming out this year with no specific date that I just think it looks awesome is Toxic Commando. This is that John Carpenter zombie horror looking game. that just I'm not fully sure what it is, if it's like Killing Floor or Left 4 Dead or something, but it looks like it kind of is. But it just looks fucking awesome. This game was announced like 2 years ago, and I really want to check it out when we get more gameplay footage to see more of it. Also, in summer of this year, we got Mafia: The Old Country coming out. That was shown recently. That will be a 2K game like Grand Theft Auto's, or Take-Two Interactive. Sorry, I'm just blanking here. So they'll probably want to space that out from Grand Theft Auto, as not to destroy their own game with Mafia. So that's coming out this summer, probably Grand Theft Auto in the fall. And then also, no release date, but penciled for this year, Marvel 1943, The Rise of Hydra. That's that Captain America Black Panther game. That looks fucking badass, that Amy Hennig, the writer of Uncharted, is working on. So hopefully we'll hear more about that. Probably at like Summer Game Fest or something, we'll see a lot more about that. And then Mecha Break, which is an Xbox mech game that's coming out this spring, but no solid date yet. That's still scheduled for this year. We got Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. That's the Snake Eater, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. No date yet, but that is supposed to be sometime this year. And then Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. That's the new 2D Ninja Gaiden game that was just announced, coming out this summer. That game looks fucking awesome. Tron Catalyst. That's the new Tron game that I forget what type of game it is, but it looks really, really good. They showed a trailer for it within the past 6 months or so. It looked really good. And then Mixtape, which is that like hip indie fucking game that looks really good. Replace, that awesome 2.5D pixel game that's like a Metroidvania style that looks awesome. And then 33 Immortals, which I don't think looks really good, but it's a day one Game Pass game. It has a marketing thing going on. That game is also supposed to come out this year. So as you can see, there's a lot of games coming out in 2025, a lot to look forward to, you know, just as far as games that are more or less confirmed, that I feel pretty confident being like, I expect this in 2025, and the game looks pretty exciting. You know, I'm just going to count roughly. Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, Outer World 2, let's see, Atomfall, Like a Dragon, Monster Hunter, Judas, GTA, Toxic Commando, Marvel 1943, Tron, Ninja Gaiden, Mixtape, Replace. I mean, that's like 15 games right there. And I'm leaving off games like Assassin's Creed and, and stuff like that, Borderlands, Elden Ring, games I know will be popular, but I just know I don't give a shit about. And so like we got like 15 fucking games here off the top that are coming out this year. It's like immediately just like, yeah, these games look fucking great. It's another banger year, and I don't know. There's a lot of discourse online about like, oh, 2024 sucked and 2022 sucked and all. It's like, yeah, but not really. There's tons of great games coming out all the time, and I personally can't find the time and the money to keep up with it all. But if you guys are, whoever out there is bitching about this stuff, more power to you. I don't know how you find the time. But, that's it really for 2025. That's what we're looking for showcases, for games. Now, real quick, I want to cover two more topics, but these are really, really, really quick ones. But I want to touch on them real quick. So the first one here is hardware. So remember that Project Brooklyn, all these Xbox revisions that they were going to do for Series S and X, that kind of got canceled, but we saw the leaks about like a year ago. All that stuff really got canceled for 2024 and 5 because poor sales of Xbox hardware. But the rumors suggest that we are still expecting that Sebile controller, which is that updated Xbox controller that's basically like adding the functionality and the quality of life improvements from like the DualSense 5 into the Xbox controller, where it has like really, really good haptics. So that controller is still scheduled, tentatively to be announced and released this year. So I assume that is something that we will either see at the January event or the June event. Probably more so the June event is what I'm guessing. But they'll announce it and then release it within like a month or two, probably, if I had to guess. I think that'd be really cool once we get that. I will 100% be interested in picking one of those up. I'm very curious to see what the price point will be, because it's obviously going to be technologically a lot more savvy than just your standard $65, $70 gamepad. So I wonder, are they going to charge $100 for this? It's probably still going to be cheaper than the Elite, because it's not as premium, but it's definitely more feature rich. So I'm very interested to see kind of where this slots. And I'm also just really excited to see what it looks like, because from the renderings we've seen, I think it looks really ugly. And Xbox traditionally has really good looking controllers. So I'm very interested to see this thing once they announce it. but that one is like all but confirmed. Like that's pretty confident that that's something that will be announced and released this year, is that Project Sibyl controller. Now let's talk about the rumored / tease / probably not 2025 kind of hardware. So we kind of touched on these a little bit, but the Xbox handheld, if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have said, yeah, this is probably going to get announced and released in 2025. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's even remotely the case. Maybe we get a tease for an Xbox handheld, like at the end of the year or something, like during the Game Awards or something, and then it gets released maybe in 2026. But I'm thinking this is more of like a tease in 2026, release in 2027. Kind of thing, which is really unfortunate because with Switch 2 coming out this year, and with Steam Deck doing so well, and with PlayStation actively working on a handheld of their own, it would just be nice for Xbox to try and get there a little sooner rather than later. But I would rather them get it right than just rush there and get it wrong. But that being said, I want that Xbox handle. I'm excited. I love my Logitech G Cloud. That is one purchase I kind of was on the fence about, wanted to get it, was afraid to be a waste of money, didn't know how I felt about it, ended up pulling the trigger on it, and I don't regret for a single second. I'm streaming Batman on that thing right now. I played Marvel Rivals on that thing. I play my RPG games, slower paced games especially, I like playing on that thing. I love streaming my Xbox to that, and I'm streaming Steam to it right now. I fucking love that device. It ergonomically feels great. It has great battery life. I just love using it. It's a fun device to hold and look at and feel. I'm a huge fan of my Logitech G Cloud, and every time I use it, all I can think of is I cannot wait for there to be something just like this, but it can also run games natively in addition to streaming, and it is a native, like authentic Xbox built piece of hardware. So I'm waiting for it, man. I'm so eager for an Xbox handheld. I will eat that shit up the second I can get my hands on it. So very much looking forward to that. Doubt we'll see anything about it this year, but maybe. I think it's possible. I think there's like a 25% chance we get some kind of reveal or nod on the Xbox handheld in 2025. Now, the next one I think is pretty much not going to happen, because I think this is probably going to happen in tandem with the Xbox handheld, which is the next-gen console. Now, remember, the whole idea is that Xbox is going to try to beat PlayStation to the punch with their next-gen hardware. I don't know how these plans have changed, because that original rumor that Xbox is going to try to be early with the next generation, said that they're going to try to have the replacement for the S and X out in 2026 and try to be early to market. Those rumors were based around the original vision for Xbox, led by Phil Spencer and his team. But now that Phil Spencer has been kind of fucking cast to the side, and Satya Nadella and his boys are like, no, Xbox, here's what you need to do now, and put all your games on PlayStation. I wonder how that shit has kind of just fucking punted or reduced the urgency to get more hardware out in a timely manner. And for that reason, I feel like there's a good chance maybe the next Xbox hardware is delayed till 2027 or 2028, because honestly, I know PlayStation, the rumor is that PlayStation feels pretty good about doing a longer life cycle for PS5, going another 2 years or so. And I feel like Xbox just might as well. Maybe they're thinking about it like, hey, we just might as well at this point, because it doesn't matter what we do, we can't win. And if that's the case, then they might just delay it and try to do the handheld with the console, replace the Series S with this handheld, and then do like a Series X replacement successor. So I don't know. I'm not expecting a next-gen console tease or announcement properly, but it is possible. Maybe like a 10% chance, but I really don't think it's what's going to happen this year. But it's a possibility, because according to the original plans, which have since been scrapped, that was kind of the plan, was to kind of get early to the next generation. And maybe this would be their way of quickly overriding the whole, like, PlayStation has a pro console, why doesn't Xbox have a pro console? It's like, bitch, Xbox doesn't need a pro console because they have the next generation right now. So, maybe that could be their way to combat it. But, if they choose to go that route, I think that would be good for marketing. But at the end of the day, it does not matter. Xbox could make a machine that is 3 times as powerful as PlayStation, half the price, and every time you turn on, it prints you a $100 bill. And people would still be like, that's great, but I'm going to buy a PlayStation 6 because my buddies are on it and because Blue Bubbles. It's literally... We're just dealing with Apple logic at this point. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter what the other device can do. It doesn't matter that Game Pass is better value. It doesn't matter that Xbox has a better controller. It doesn't matter that Xbox is more affordable with the Series S. It doesn't matter about any of these things. People are just going to go and the place where they know the people are and it's popular to be, and it's the one where the hip-hop artist rapped about that console, and it's the one where the TikTok guy had that console, and it's the one where Donald Trump endorsed that console, and people are always just going to go, okay, PlayStation, okay, iPhone, okay, don't think about it, okay, just go. And unfortunately, I think, yeah, PlayStation just has that Toyota fucking status. It's like people are just going to, I need this, I need a thing to play video games, PlayStation, so... No rush, Xbox. Do whatever the fuck you want. It's not going to matter anyway, especially when Satya makes you put all your fucking games on PlayStation anyway. I'm not salty. I'm feeling great. All right, so that's my expectations for hardware. I am looking forward to at least getting that controller just because I love new tech. I'm a huge fan of new tech. I always talk about how, like, I'm not one to be like, oh, that's gimmicky, that's stupid. Like, I loved Wii, I loved Wii U, I loved Kinect. I love new tech. I mean, I have one of the fucking folding, bending, stupid fucking phones from Samsung, and I bought the dual screen Windows phone a few years ago. Like, I love stupid shit. I love tech that's like, why did they build that? And the answer is like, because it's fucking cool and they could. So I'm all for that kind of stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to the new controller at the very least. Last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up this podcast, you guys, is just stories and information I'm expecting to inevitably happen. Like, nothing that has been acknowledged or anything or directly like teased, but I'm expecting a lot more games to come to PlayStation 5. Now, obviously, we already know Doom: The Dark Ages is coming day and date to PS5. We know that, the rumors suggest that they have Forza Horizon 5 and what was the other one? What's the other one? It's not, maybe it's Age of Mythologies. It's one of those games, but like they have it basically ported, ready to go. Like, flip a switch, it's on PlayStation, but they're just waiting for the time. My guess is that there is another roundup of 4 or 5 games that are going to be released on PlayStation all within a very short window of time, and Xbox is probably going to announce that. Probably do the same thing they did last year. They'll probably be like around March or May, or April or something like that. We'll do another onslaught of Xbox games on PS5. And yeah, I'm definitely expecting that to be a thing this year. So more of that, in addition to the already announced things like Doom and Indiana Jones. And then the other thing I'm half expecting, I'll say 50-50, I'm half expecting this. I think there's going to be some giant leadership shakeup at Xbox this year. I actually was expecting this to happen in 2024. So the fact that it didn't actually kind of surprises me. But I'm like kind of confident that we're going to get, unless there's some like someone has some contract that they just can't get out of or something, or someone's got like some embarrassing photos that they're using as blackmail. I feel like a Phil Spencer or a Matt Booty or someone is like ready to walk from Xbox. Is like ready to just fucking say screw it and retire or do consulting work or just leave the company altogether. Because I truly believe that there are some serious tying hands behind the back of some of these Xbox executives who have worked so hard to build this platform and reshape it in this image over this past decade. And whether you think they've done a good job or a bad job, whatever the case may be, there's no denying that their vision has been entirely shat on by higher up leadership at Microsoft. And I think certainly there are people who have been rubbed the wrong way. I mean, you can just see it. When you see Phil Spencer now, he's in much more of a background position. He doesn't talk as much. When he talks, he kind of says less. He just seems like he's always pissed off and stressed out. Every time you see him, he just seems like he's kind of just having a bad day. And I think it's obvious, like, the dude has been thrown in, and I'm not trying to like, oh, poor victim, Phil Spencer. It's like, whatever. I don't know the guy. Whatever. He does, he makes a lot of money. He does well. He has a job to do. He's the guy who took the fucking job of the head of Xbox. He needs to be, ready for all the punches and twists and turns that come with the job. But the thing is, like, when you see the guy, he fucking looks defeated. He doesn't look like he's having a good time. It does not look like a good time over on Team Xbox. They're having leadership issues and rotations constantly with the head of Xbox Game Studios, and it just seems like there is there has to be some kind of internal cultural struggle where it's like, we worked so fucking hard for all this, and now it's just falling apart. Game Pass isn't doing what we need to do. We're trying. We're putting the games out. It's just not picking up the traction. The console's great. It's just not working. People are not picking it up. And now all of our shit's going to PlayStation. It's just fucking futile. And now everyone's got their hands tied behind their backs while, higher ups at Microsoft say, fuck you, take everything you've done and put it on PlayStation. And I just think that is a very discouraging and a very soul crushing kind of situation to be in, to just watch, you made it all the way to the finish line, and before you could cross the tape, everything just exploded. It's like, you ran the fucking marathon, you made it all the way, you see the yellow tape all the way at the end, you're about to get first place, and you trip and fall on a fucking banana peel and screw everything up and watch 7 people pass you and beat you at the tail end of the race after maintaining this like first place position almost the entire time. And it's just, that's what Xbox looks like to me. It looks like they were so close. Were they so close to finally getting really competitive with PlayStation and reclaiming everything they had won during the Xbox 360 era? Probably not. I don't know. But they were definitely the closest they'd ever been to getting back to that point. And we will never know, because they did the thing they needed to do. Finally, it was all coming together, and their plan got shat on. So I would not be surprised if someone super important, someone or some people super important higher up on the Xbox command ladder, if they were to leave the company, if they were to retire or step away from Microsoft altogether in the year 2025, that would be crazy news, but it would not be entirely shocking to me. So that is just a prediction, not something I'm wanting to will into existence, not something I'm hoping for, but I think there's a possibility of that, because I would feel crushed and defeated if I were the leadership team at Xbox right now. But whatever. And then, whatever. They'll just have a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 5 or whatever the fuck they want to do this year, and then that will be their bread and butter game to compete, whatever. It's the only thing that can still do all right in a world where Grand Theft Auto 6 is out, so at least they have that. But that is more or less Xbox in 2025 as of right now, as of our perspective at the very beginning of the year, looking forward ahead and having to guess, how's this going to play out, how's it going to go. That is what I can foresee as of now. But you guys, I really appreciate you listening and sticking around for all this. Let me know what you think. Let me know, Jesse, how did you forget this about 2024? Jesse, didn't you realize that this probably means this? Oh, I expect this to happen in 2025. Jesse, what about this? How about Phil Spencer? He said that he was going to learn how to play the Star Spangled Banner using nothing but his armpits if Indiana Jones ever came to PlayStation. Are you ready to see that happen? So I don't know. Let me know. Write in. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. I'd love that. But let's round out the podcast with 4 comments from youtube.com that we had to write in. So, youtube.com/Xbox on podcast. Drop a comment on the latest episode of the show. Say anything nice, anything mean, anything in between. Don't be a fucking dick. I won't include you if that's the case. But, within reason, say whatever the fuck you want to say, and we'll read it on the show. Our first comment of the year comes from Mr. Wes H., who says, Jesse, Leapfrog? Childhood memory I totally forgot about. Remember wanting to open Pokemon game or Madden and getting that instead. I'm assuming you're talking about Christmas. Woof. Anyway, here are my top 5 games of the year. Number 5, Pokemon Go. Number 4, Fortnite. 3, Gears of War Ultimate. 2, Black Ops 6. And 1, Baldur's Gate 3. Boom. Shout out to you, Wes. I think you're the only person who put a mobile game in your top 5. I like that. It's representation. It allows all corners of the spectrum to be explored and celebrated. But, and I think you more than made up for it by having Black Ops and Gears of War on there. So there you go. I like that. But yeah, shout out. That's a nod from last week. Shout out to Leapfrog. I remember we had a Leapfrog, and for those who don't remember, Leapfrog was like this little kids learning toy thing. It was like this book-like electronic device, and it had a stylus, and the stylus was like magic. It was like this thing where you would buy a licensed book, like a licensed picture book, and it had words in it. So you'd buy like Berenstain Bears or Winnie the Pooh or something like that, right? Or like Dora the Explorer, and you would open up the picture book and you would put in your Leapfrog, and then the pen would know how to read the words when you touch on them. So like, you open up the picture book to page 1, it would be like, Winnie the Pooh was in the 100-acre woods exploring with his friends and Christopher Robin, and you could like take the pen and touch every word, and the Leapfrog would read as you touch. So it'd be like Winnie the Pooh was in the 100-acre woods, right? And but then me and my brothers, of course, being immature children, wanted to make it say funny things. So we figured out very quickly, well, you can just touch any word in any order, and the Leapfrog will basically say whatever the fuck you want to say within reason. You're not going to find a Leapfrog storybook that says like ass or fuck in it. So, within reason, you could try to make it say funny things. And honestly, the fact that it was all really kid-friendly content, I think only made it funnier. But I remember, especially the Winnie the Pooh book we had, we would exploit the fuck out of that. We would open it up and you know, like just touch all the funniest words in whatever order to make it like Mad Lib, whatever you wanted to say. So it'd be like, Winnie touched his poo, you know, and like he would do it like in the voice, like because the tone in the diction would be like as if you were reading it all chronologically. So it's like Winnie the Pooh was in the 100-Acre Woods, but it's like you just touch random words. And it's like Christopher Robin loves poo or something like that, and you know, just being fucking like, I don't know how old I was. What was that, like 7 years old or something, and thinking that was like the funniest shit in the world. Shout out to Leapfrog. What did you said you were hoping to get Pokemon or Madden? Pokemon or Madden, it is not entertaining. It still is. Shout out to Leapfrog. Maybe that was the device that sparked something in me that was like, I like weird experimental technology, whether it's Xbox Connect or Nintendo Wii or Project Sable or whatever fucking Xbox controller. I don't care. Leapfrog taught me that all new, creative, risky tech it has a place. There's a time and place for it, and I love it all. So Wes H, thank you for writing in. Have a great week and have a great 2025. Oh, you said also, you have a little tag here. You said also surprised that the mid 2000s Cars video game that you played did not make your top 5 list, bro. What happened? That game never stood a chance of making my top 5 list. That was comfort food and nostalgia, but that was not a top 5 game I played last year. I'm sorry to disappoint you there, Wes. All right, Cronky writes in and says, this year was a roller coaster, referring to 2024. He's not writing from the future about 2025. This year was a roller coaster, and I'm very happy to have it in the rear view. New Year's resolution, fewer games, more focus on following consistent routine, and working on creative pursuits. I feel like that is always my New Year's resolution, is basically I think I said on this podcast once, it's like, I want to create more than I consume. It's like that's the thing. Like, be productive at your day job, do the podcast, explore music, make YouTube videos, whatever it is, whatever creative thing it is you have, whatever passion is you have, do it. But like, try to read more books, write more, create more, put more out into the world than you consume. Don't just binge watch a Netflix show and then find another show to binge watch and then play a video game and then binge watch another TV show. Try to balance it. Enjoy your TV show, watch it, think it's great, and then go put something out into the world. Go create, give back. I feel like that's always more or less my resolutions too. It's like consistent routine, work on creative pursuits, make progress, do stuff, create stuff, get somewhere. But it is so easy to fall in the routine, just be incredibly exhausted after a long day of work and be like, I'm going to play fucking Call of Duty for an hour and a half and then go to bed. And then that becomes your life. But I like New Year's resolutions. I used to be very anti-New Year's resolution. I was one of those like very negative people that was like, what's the point of a New Year's resolution? Nobody follows it. Why do you need to have a New Year's resolution to make a change? It's just it's just an opportunity for people to lie to themselves. Like, you don't need a New Year's resolution. You don't need to wait for New Year's to finally start losing weight and going to the gym and doing all these things. It's like, that's not the point. I like the spirit of the New Year's resolution. It's like, we're all kind of like, it's an opportunity for everyone to be like, let's all just try and be better. Let's all look inward and find something in ourselves that we think we could get better at, and know that we're all kind of going through it together and trying to better ourselves. And I like, even though I think it's impractical and most people don't follow through on it, I don't think that's the point. I think there's just something kind of endearing and comforting knowing that it's like this opportunity where all of humanity is supposedly just trying to be introspective and identify areas to improve themselves. I just think that's a cool idea. And like, from a cultural perspective, I really encourage that. I think it's a good idea. The older I've gotten, the more I really respect and appreciate the idea of the New Year's resolution. So Cronky, good luck to you. I hope you have a lot of success in following out that desire. And to all you guys who have New Year's resolutions, I hope you're able to fulfill all of them. Although, knowing some of the weird fucking characters that have been commenting on this podcast as of late, there are probably some New Year's resolutions out there that I wouldn't want to see come true just for the betterment of humankind. So you know who you people are. Keep it to yourselves. All right, Sam Frito, this sexy motherfucker, writes in for the first time in the year 2025 and says, Jesse, I was at the Orlando International Airport this weekend picking up visiting family. I was in the terminal close to the gates where there was an enormous display against the wall above the Universal store and above the Walt Disney World store. About every 20 seconds, they had alternating ads for Nintendo, for Pikmin, and Super Mario. My thought was, why is there no Game Pass ad? I'm just not seeing enough marketing. Super Mario and Pikmin are relatively common, but they're not even selling a particular new release or tie-in or anything current in the theme parks here in Florida. Xbox on an explanation for me. Why is Xbox not capitalizing on the strength of Game Pass or Indie or some measure of hope to be more visible? This scrambles my eggs. Thanks and Happy New Year. I thought about this a little bit, Sam Frito. I wish I had a better answer for you, but this is a really good observation because one of the things I love/hate about living in Orlando is it is such a pop culture, entertainment driven city. Like the culture of Orlando is so entertainment driven because of the nature of the theme parks and the tourism. Everyone here's identity is like their favorite 80s movie and their favorite theme park ride and their favorite video game and their favorite, whatever nostalgia driven IP related brand, which is like generally fun. Sometimes a little like overwhelming and annoying and inundating, but generally pretty fucking like unique and fun. It's one of the things that's just makes Orlando wacky and admirable. But I was thinking about this because at first I was going to say, well, you got to think about it this way. Orlando is a tourism city. People come here for the beaches, the theme parks, and all that stuff. So why would you advertise video games in your airport? It makes sense that you would advertise, come to Disney World. We have a Star Wars ride. Come to Universal. We have a Harry Potter land, So why would you focus on trying to market like PlayStation, Xbox, whatever? And Nintendo is different because Nintendo is just so its own thing. It's so evergreen. It's so applicable to all ages. Plus, Nintendo is about to be heavily associated with Orlando because Super Nintendo Land is opening up here in a couple months here at the new Universal theme park in May. So that's kind of different. But I got to thinking about it more. I was like, well, it would make perfect sense to have Xbox advertisements in the Orlando airport because it's such. And also, I thought about it by extension of that, just airports in general. Like my home state of Georgia. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. That would be a great place to have Xbox ads all over the airport because Hartsfield-Jackson, the airport in Atlanta, is like the number one most visited airport in the entire world due to it just being a huge hub for international tourism or travel, not tourism, for travel, because for business related purposes, Hartsfield-Jackson just has the most international foot traffic. And so it's like, why wouldn't you want to have Xbox ads? I was thinking about like back home because it's like exposure to people from all over the world to your brand. And that's really important because Xbox does so well in English speaking territories, in its domestic territory of the US, that's like, why wouldn't you want the guy traveling in from Ethiopia and the guy traveling in from Seoul, Korea, and the guy traveling in from, wherever the fuck to be like, oh, Xbox. Oh yeah. I remember when I went to America, I saw a lot of advertisements for Xbox. That's a really big thing there. And then people start to associate and it kind of gets that subliminal built in, like, oh, cool, I liked America. Yeah, I had an In-N-Out cheeseburger, and I saw ads for Xbox, and it's all cool, and everyone drives big pickup trucks, right? And then I thought about that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense for Orlando for the same reasons, because you have all of these tourists coming from all over the world. It's like, why wouldn't you want all of these people on people say that people come from all over the world for Disney World. It really seems like people come from the UK and Brazil and nowhere else, honestly, in my experience. But you do get a lot of, like, you see there are peaks and times where you see a lot of like Japanese and Chinese visitors in Orlando. I think that's just because Japan and China have Disney theme parks, and now there's this like crossover where like Americans want to go to China and Japan to see their Disney parks, and Chinese and Japanese Disney fans want to come to Florida to see our Disney parks. But in any case, you have people visiting from all over the world to come see these theme parks, families from all over the world. It would be cool for them to step off a plane into the Orlando airport and see Xbox, Indiana Jones video game, Xbox, Game Pass. This is an Xbox. Your fucking YouPorn device in your pocket is a fucking Xbox. It would be a really cool way to get that message across to an international audience, because Xbox is a brand that struggles to get past its home market and past English-speaking markets, and I think that would be kind of a no-brainer. So that's a really good point. And then the last thing I had to say about that is I was remembering when that Star Wars Jedi, the second one, Jedi Survivor came out, I remember on I-4, the main highway that cuts east and west of Orlando. It cuts through all of Orlando, basically gets you from Orlando to Tampa. So it's like the main highway that basically every tourist ends up on at some point or another when they're here in Florida or they're here in Orlando. When that game came out, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, they had billboards up and down I-4, especially as you got close to like Disney and Universal. There were lots of billboards that were like Star Wars Jedi Survivor now available. It's like, what the fuck? I'm seeing, billboard instead of like $99 divorce and like Dan Newland's gonna fucking get you a fucking settlement if you break your arm, god damn it, or like Make America Great Again at the Advent Health Clinic or whatever. Instead of like seeing those usual suspect billboards, I was seeing like billboards for like Star Wars the video game, and I was like, yeah, that kind of makes perfect sense. I remember like seeing them and being like, what the fuck, a billboard for a video game? And then being like, that's actually kind of ingenious, because you have people traveling from all over to come to Disney World to see Star Wars Land, to see Disney, and they're big Harry Potter fans, and they love Lord of the Rings, and they love nerd stuff, and they have a Back to the Future phone case on their iPhone, and they love all the quotes from Big Bang Theory and shit. It's like, yeah, these are the exact people you need to be marketing this shit to. That makes perfect sense. So it's like, why don't they do that? Why don't we have an Indiana Jones billboard from Xbox in the middle of Orlando? And why don't we have this is an Xbox ad slapped all over the terminals in the Orlando airport? I don't know, man. Xbox fucking sucks at marketing for the most part. Microsoft sucks at marketing for the most part, honestly. If you want to know the honest to God truth, why did they make a fucking phone and then not market the hell out of it? Because they're stupid and dumb. And frankly, I think they might even be homophobic, to be honest. But I wish I had an answer for you. I really just more wanted to ramble, because honestly, your observation just kind of sparked my imagination a little bit, made me think. But yeah, there's no good answer, Sam Frito. I think it's just Xbox dumb. PlayStation should put an ad. PlayStation should put an ad in the airport and say, "Fuck you, you'll buy it anyway." And then put a little kiosk where you can buy PlayStations. Dude, especially with the Brazilian tourism we get here, absolutely. Because famously, when Brazilian tourists come to Florida, they buy up a lot of electronic devices, because in Brazil there are a lot of tariffs on U.S. goods and stuff like that, on like electronics that we have here. And so a lot of tourists from Brazil, when they come here, buy iPhones and Xboxes and cameras and PlayStations and shit, because it's cheaper for them to buy it when they're overseas in America than it is for them to order it back home and have it delivered to them. So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you be like Xbox in hopes that you can help penetrate that large Brazilian market that visits here, and be like, yo, you guys should totally play Xbox instead of fucking PlayStation. Whoa, FIFA's on Xbox, guys, over here. And just fucking directly target market the fuck out of those guys and just be like, football on Xbox, no Game Pass, sorry. And then, yeah, it's just, some things are no-brainers, but sometimes Xbox has no brain. What do you want me to say about it, Sam Frito? Thank you for writing in. Have a wonderful day, Mr. Frito. I hope you had a wonderful visit with your family. I hope they had a wonderful holiday with you here in sunny, hot, then cold, then hot, then cold Orlando, Florida, where it is currently hot, but I think tomorrow it's supposed to randomly get cold, so I'm looking forward to that. And then our first comment of the year comes from Mr. Way of the Lao. Welcome back, Mr. Butthole. A reference that goes back a couple years, Mr. Dolphin Butthole Way of the Lao, who says, "My dude, how I miss talking to you on a weekly basis during live streams. Please give my regards to your brother, as I hope he and his family are doing well. You will be fine when you turn 30. Stop worrying. It bothers me that Microsoft isn't sticking with their consoles after making so many mistakes with it for so long that it hurt their business, because I love the console. They are finally in a position where they can compete, and they choose not to. Well, take care, man. I am always listening on Thursday mornings." So thank you, Mr. Lau. It's good to hear from you. It's nice. It's nice to know you're still there. Appreciate you, bud. Yeah, I should have read this comment when we were having the discussion earlier, but this is the crux of it. Let me reread what you say here. It bothers me that Microsoft is not sticking with their console after making so many mistakes with it for so long that it hurt their business because I love the console. They are finally in a position where they can compete and they choose not to. That is it right there. They are finally in a position where they can compete and they choose not to. Right. Most powerful console ever made, most affordable console on the market, best exclusive game. PlayStation has nothing on it right now. They had that failed fucking Concord multiplayer game that everyone laughed out the room. We got Indiana Jones and Call of Duty on Game Pass. And instead of being like, yo, come buy an Xbox, you're like, don't worry, guys, we'll come to you. Give us 5 months. We'll be right over. Okay. Fuck me. Okay. By all means, Xbox. Just don't compete. Just don't even try. So that's cool. Yeah, I agree with your sentiment, man. It sucks. It really sucks. I think, but just to reiterate, to end on try to end on a positive note, what I said before, if you are a person who does your gaming on Xbox as a platform, the future is bright. Xbox is in a good place, and there's a lot of great things coming. If you are an Xbox fan who likes Xbox the way it has always been, and you want things to maintain the way they have been, things are not looking good, and it's the worst it's ever been. So there are two ways to look at it. If you're a fan of Xbox, it's bleak. If you're just a person who plays on Xbox, times are good. Enjoy that Game Pass subscription. We're going to be eating good because there are so many fucking good games on the horizon. I cannot wait. So thank you all so much for listening in. Wherever you're listening from, we appreciate you. Xbox On is a podcast for everyone to enjoy. So feel free to write in. Jesse, stupid boy, why'd you say this? Jesse, you forgot this. Jesse, where do babies come from? Jesse, if I go to Orlando, Florida, will you drive me around Legoland and point out all the best rides so I know which rides to make Legos of? Just write in. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you got questions about, and I will be here to be your friend. So until next week, have a wonderful 2025. Happy New Year to everyone. And until next time, power your dreams.